Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you the second episode of my series Straightforward Shopping, a series in which I intend to showcase a collection of games from a multitude of different genres, and discuss with you guys whether I believe the price tag is justifiable or not. Today's game goes by the name of One Finger Death Punch. This was recommended to me by a subscriber of the name Benito Finito. I'd like to start off this video by thanking you, dude. I'm so grateful that this game was brought to my attention because it is absolutely amazing. For an indie game of $1, the value for money here is simply staggering. So, this game is basically a side-scrolling brawler game with timed button presses. If you don't know what a brawler game is, think Castle Crashers or maybe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. Going back further on the Sega Master Drive, games like Streets of Rage and Golden Axe were considered brawlers. But it's basically people coming from opposite sides and you have to take them out as quickly and effectively as possible. But the gimmick of this game is that you only get two buttons, X and B. And this was the biggest concern upon watching the trailer for this game. How are they going to translate two button presses to what is going on screen? Because the combat itself is very exaggerated, over the top. It's intense kung fu. It's like watching a movie. It's like watching The Matrix when Neo goes ham and he starts just destroying people left, right, and center. And I thought, you know, can they really make it so that it's still fun to just press X and B, but what is going on screen is absolutely insane? And also, will there be enough of a difficulty curve? And I can answer all those questions and abate all your concerns by saying, yes, they do it very, very well. The amount of justice that this game is done is absolutely incredible. So basically how this game works is you've got different colours of stick figures coming towards you from opposite sides of the screens. The default colour being grey. When they are grey, you only need to punch them once. Then other colours of stick figures start coming in, such as purple stick figures as you are seeing now, and they come with their own button combination, which you will see directly below them. There's also a number which you see, which means you have to hit them 4, 3, or 5 times. These opponents you have to hit 4 times, and they basically have 4 different colours below them, meaning you hit red, red, X, X. So you're essentially trying to keep track of what's going on the screen as different opponents are frantically coming towards you. And you can either memorize the colors of the opponents so that you know what to do when they come towards you, or you just have to frantically look below them and make sure you know what's going to happen. And let's just say things get a little bit insane. It reminds me of like a Dance Dance Revolution game or a Guitar Hero game, because you're having to keep up very quickly. And if you make a single mistake, it can damage you in huge ways. The game basically has a health bar below you. If you miss, you are basically dazed for a second and you can't attack back, so then they can get a free hit on you. Missing in this game isn't necessarily a travesty, because if you miss a opponent, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get hit. Sometimes you can avoid being hit and then therefore you don't take any hit points. However, in terms of the way the game works, they've got medals. So if you hit X amount of misses, you won't be able to attain a high enough medal. For example, platinum is 0 misses, gold is up to 3 misses, etc, etc. The way that difficulty curves in this game is just tremendous. Like, it's one of these games that when you make a mistake, you know it was your fault. You know it wasn't anything to do with this game. When I first started playing this game, I was kind of wondering, because everything was happening so quick. I was like, was I even in control of the situation there? Could I even control the situation? Or is this game just throwing stuff at me that isn't even physically possible? But the controls are so tight, and the cues on the game are all there. You know, everything's telling you what you need to be doing. And if you make a mistake, it's your own fault for not having quick enough reflexes to be able to keep up with what's going on screen. And it's something that's just extremely punishing and frustrating at times, but frustrating in a good way, because you know that if you win, you deserve to win, and therefore it's a very skillful game. It's something that gives you a great sense of reward and risk, etc, etc. The game itself does a fantastic job of keeping itself fresh all the time as well. Like, it has a huge amount of weapons on offer. The animations for combat are different and varied. It never feels like you're watching the same fight again and again and again, even though you most likely are. Part of that's due to the fact that the combat is so quick as well, so that everything feels so fast-paced and insane that you can't even necessarily keep your eye on what's going on. And then you've got the different varieties of weapons like bow and arrows, bombs, staves, swords, axes, hammers, etc., etc. And each of those weapons has their own fighting style to it. And it's such a spectacle fighter. It's the sort of thing that if you had a friend around, you'd really want to get them in and show them and take turns and see who could do the best, who could show off the most. And I really love games like that. It's one of these uber competitive games where you know that one of you is going to be better than the other guy because the amount of skill encased in the gameplay is just undoubtable. The actual game itself in terms of game modes has a huge amount of variety on offer as well. You've got stuff like survival mode, lightning round where you're unable to see the different colors of stick figures, special weapon rounds where you've got the nunchucker or even the lightsaber. So it feels like a proper fully fleshed campaign in some ways because there's such a crazy amount of game modes on offer that, you know, you're never playing the same game mode for too long. It has an intelligent way of predicting when you're bored of one certain type of mode, so then it starts throwing something completely different at you. It's one of these games that, like, I was just able to be completely gripped for such a long amount of time, and when you put the $1 price tag on top of that, you're just like, this makes no physical sense to me. I shouldn't have spent this much time on this game. Yeah, I don't want to go off it anytime soon. It's got 3 different difficulties as well. I finished the first difficulty mode, and I can say the second one scales really nicely. It doesn't just go into the second difficulty mode and throws insane stuff at you, but it does increase the speed drastically. So you've got a lower amount of enemies on screen, but also an insanely high speed. And that's just something that I've never seen a game scale difficulty as well as this one. This one just knows when to throw something at you, and it knows when you should be ready for something. And you only have yourself to blame if you're not ready, because it showed you all the signs, it showed you the different types of gameplays, and you only have yourself to blame if you're not able to keep up. Which is such an awesome concept in a game. And my problem with the indie marketplace as of recently has been that I feel like the developers on there trying to make games for the public, they're trying to make games to compete with the AAA industry. And that's something that's never going to happen. They don't have the resources, the manpower, the time to be able to create a game which can offer a similar experience to a Call of Duty or a Halo. Whereas this game takes a very simple gimmick, a very accessible gameplay, and it just tries to do everything it physically can, and it also offers a very unique style. You know, I feel like something that indie developers can bring to the table that AAA developers can't necessarily is unique ideas. It feels like the AAA industry at this point in time is kind of constricted in the fact that it needs to sell to target audiences, it needs to, make sure it has all its bases covered, whereas indie games, they can take any unique idea and just run wild with it. And this is exactly what this game does. It takes the simple concept of 2 button presses and it takes it to the freaking nth degree. It's insane. Like, honest to God, if you're watching this on screen, it's almost hard to keep up with, is it not? And I love it. You know, you're fighting 200 different enemies at a time. You have to keep your concentration, your focus at an absolute zen point, and it's just, I cannot go on about how much I freaking love this game, and I would recommend anyone buying it for a $1 price tag, you know, unless you are completely turned off by this genre, unless you completely despise the fact that stick figures are involved. You know, I understand they kind of did similar to what Murder Miners did, in that they picked a style of graphics that was kind of low res, so that it had its own art design and feel to it without necessarily having high fidelity graphics. It still looks great in my opinion. I love stick figure combat. This was something that was pretty huge on the internet a couple of years ago. They had a lot of cartoons on the website Newgrounds, and I feel like if this game had been released just a couple of years ago, it would have been a raving success, because stick figure combat was something that was just so huge on the internet. And this game does it absolutely perfect. This is literally my dream from someone who used to watch those stick figure internet cartoons. And I'm going to link a couple in the description because you have to watch them. There's one by the name of Xiao Xiao, which is insane, over-the-top, violent, gruesome, epic martial arts. But this game basically takes that and puts it into a game, and it does it extreme justice. And, you know, I'm going to give this game a rating of 9.5 out of 10. I don't want to go crazy with the 10 out of 10s yet, because I feel like, you know, but this game is almost perfect. This game is almost perfect, and I find it hard to come up with any criticisms whatsoever. I do feel like this might be a bit of a niche in terms of its genre and its style, and in terms of the actual combat itself. Some people just might not like the fact that they haven't got the depth of added button presses, but if you play this game yourself, I can tell you that it is difficult enough and challenging enough and varied enough to warrant that 2-button press. It does a tremendous job of it. I have been Modest Mage. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the commentary. Peace out.